Incredible twist, poor girl's heartwarming act for a needy woman revealed as Billionaire's mother. The autumn leaves swirled around Emma as she hurried down the street, the chill biting at her cheeks. She was juggling 2 steaming bags of groceries, one for her daughter, Lily, and the other for the elderly neighbor she planned to check on later. Despite her full hands, her heart brimmed with warmth. In the quaint Midwestern town, everyone knew Emma, the tenacious single mother who worked doubles just to keep a roof over her daughter's head. She had become a beacon of kindness, nurturing not just her own family but the entire community. On this particular day, Emma stumbled upon Rose, a frail, unkempt older woman huddled against the brick wall outside a cafe. The sight tugged at her heartstrings. Without a moment's hesitation, she knelt before Rose, offering her freshly baked bread and the warm coat she had scrimped and saved to buy. The glint of hope in Rose's eyes was a palpable thing, and in that simple act of compassion, they shared laughter, stories, and a comforting embrace, 2 souls entwined in their struggles. Yet, as whispers began to ripple through the small town, doubts bloomed in the air. Why is she wasting her time on that woman? The neighbors muttered. What about Lily? Isn't she neglecting her own? The judgment cut deep. Emma felt the weight of scrutiny as she juggled her budding friendship with Rose and the demands of being a single mother. Was her daughter losing precious time with her? Emma's chest tightened with the pressure of choices, but her heart urged her to keep those connections alive. Weeks rolled on, and Emma learned more about Rose's past, each revelation unraveling bits of a woman tangled in regret and pain. One rainy afternoon, Emma discovered that Rose had once been the vibrant matriarch of a family that included a tech mogul's son who left everything behind for riches in Silicon Valley. It felt as though the ground beneath her shifted. A homeless woman turned out to be a mother with a hidden legacy. The townsfolk's eyes widened in disbelief at the narrative they had built, now forever altered. Just as their biases began to fray, a letter arrived for Rose. Her son was returning to town, the whispers boiling into a frenzy. Emma stood at the heart of a conflict that twisted into a web of emotions. Dread hung in the air, tangled with hope and resentment. At the community food bank, emotions clawed their way out, heat rising as everyone faced the truths they avoided. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma stood at the edge of the stage, heart racing as she thought of Lily's laughter and Rose's weary smile. As she looked out at her community faces twisted by preconceived notions, she felt the tension tighten in her chest. Could compassion truly bridge the vast chasm between wealth and worth? Would her decision to embrace vulnerability shatter her relationship with Lily, or bring them closer in a surprising twist of fate? As these questions surged in her mind, she realized that the answers weren't just for her to find, but for a whole town to discover together. The day of Rose's return to the community was like nothing Emma had ever witnessed. A buzz filled the air, thick with anticipation and apprehension. Curiosity turned into a palpable energy that crackled through the crowd as people gathered outside the old church where Rose had once attended services with her family. Emma felt a knot form in her stomach. Her mind raced with questions. What would happen when Rose's son stepped foot in their hometown? Would he embrace his mother, or worst of all, would he turn away? People whispered fervently, speculating on the life Rose had left behind. They say he's a billionaire, a voice murmured behind Emma. How could he let her end up like this? Another chimed in, it's shameful. Money can't buy love, that's for sure. Emma bit her lip, trying to drown out the noise. She wanted to shield Rose from the judgment, but knew she couldn't protect her from the past unfurling before them like the colorful leaves of autumn. As the church doors swung open, Emma caught sight of a tall figure stepping out into the crisp air. He was dressed sharply, the kind of man who looked at ease in an upscale suit. Gasps rippled through the crowd. This was Rose's son, a stranger yet intimately known to them all by reputation. She felt the weight of Rose's past pressing down more than ever. Emma's heart raced as she glanced back at Rose, who sat on a nearby bench clutching her coat tightly around her frail body. There was a flicker of hope in Rose's eyes, but it was shadowed by fear. Emma walked over, kneeling beside her. "You don't have to do this alone," she whispered softly, squeezing Rose's hand. "You've got me." "I don't know what he'll say," Rose breathed, her voice barely above a whisper, filled with regret. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together," Emma replied, trying to muster her own courage in the face of uncertainty. The moment arrived, cloaked in silence as the crowd held its breath. Rose's son stepped forward, his eyes locking onto Rose's with an intensity that pierced through the tension. Emma couldn't help but hold her own breath as they stood face to face, years of separation and unspoken words hanging heavy between them. She studied the way Rose's face transformed, lined with years of hardship yet illuminated by the flicker of maternal love still alive. "Mom," he began, his voice catching momentarily, "I've missed you." The words hung in the air, mingling with the delicate scent of fallen leaves and the warm embrace of late autumn sunshine that a collective sigh swept through the crowd, uncertainty giving way to a wave of empathy. In this moment, the townsfolk began to see not just a woman shaped by struggle, but a mother at the heart of a complex story. Emma's heart swelled as she witnessed this raw and beautiful reunion, yet even as relief washed over the gathering, Emma felt a twist of turmoil in her chest. What would this mean for her bond with Rose? Would she still need to divide her time between these two worlds, the past personified in Rose, and her present embodied in Lily? As anxiousness morphed into hope, Emma realized that every choice she made rippled out, not just affecting her own life, but intertwining with the lives of those around her. With the weight of that thought simmering in her mind, Lily's small hand tugged at Emma's sleeve, pulling her back into the present. "Mom, can we go home now?" Lily asked, her innocent voice breaking through the tension. Emma knelt, brushing a stray hair from Lily's face. "Just a little longer, sweetie," she said, her voice steady. "There's something important happening here." As she turned back to Rose and her son, Emma felt a flicker of hope. The future felt uncertain, yet alive with possibility. Maybe this was the moment their town needed, the moment compassion could bridge divides. But little did she know, the story of forgiveness and acceptance had only just begun. What twists would the next encounter bring? Emma braced herself as another crowd member nudged forward, an ember of unrest burning in their eyes. The crowd's murmur simmered with confusion, eyes darting between Rose and the newcomer, who seemed unbothered by the stir he had created. Emma felt a rush of protectiveness swell inside her as she sensed tension mounting in the air. Would this moment, which had begun with hope, spiral into something darker? "Excuse me," a voice rang out, clear and confronting. Emma turned, surprised to see it was Jacob, someone from high school who had been quick to judge others. "What kind of game is this?" he challenged, stepping forward. "Why come back now? After all these years?" Rose flinched at the intrusion, her grip tightening on her coat. Emma's heart sank. Just as the doors had creaked open for a moment of reunion, they threatened to slam shut with this unexpected attack. She felt an unfamiliar rage bubble within her but choked it down, fighting for Rose's dignity. "Leave her alone," Emma said, stepping in front of Rose protectively. "You don't know a thing about her or the battles she has faced." The crowd quieted, some faces reflecting solidarity with Emma while others hesitated, uncertain how to act. Jacob sneered, "I don't need to know her struggles to see what she is." The judgment hung in the air, thick and suffocating. It was then that Rose spoke, her voice trembling yet resolute. "I came back to make amends. I don't expect forgiveness or charity. But I owe it to those I hurt." Her son stood beside her, observing keenly. Emma watched as he shifted on his feet, annoyance flickering at Jacob's ignorance. "Mom," he said softly, as if trying to remind her to keep her strength. But Rose continued, raising her chin defiantly, challenging Jacob's condemnation. "A mother's love doesn't fade." Her voice grew stronger with each word. "I've made mistakes, hurt people even. But I'm here to face the fallout. It's not just about my past, it's about my future too. And that includes a chance to rebuild what I've lost." The crowd softened as murmurs of support rippled clearer through the small gathering. Emma felt the shift, the tide turning. Hope had planted a seed. "Don't let the fear of judgment keep you from being loved," Emma urged, feeling a weight lift. "You are more than your past." Another voice broke through the stillness, belonging to an elderly woman named Agnes who had known Rose as a child. Her face was wrinkled with kindness and pain. "You were one of us, Rose." "Always," she said, her eyes shimmering. "We were all young once, lost in our choices." As Agnes's words resonated, scattered nods began to weave through the crowd. A sense of underlying unity flickered to life, threading through the estranged relationships. Emma turned to Rose, who met her gaze, her eyes brimming with tears. For the first time that day, the shadow of fear began to lift from Rose's face, replaced with a glimmer of something almost foreign to her, something that resembled acceptance. But just as the emotional air began to clear, a tall woman stepped forward from the back. Her hair was meticulously styled, and her expression was one of authority mixed with curiosity. She adjusted her sunglasses, evaluating the situation before her. "Rose," she called, her voice cutting through the noise. "I'm here to talk about a more complex matter. We need to discuss your inheritance." Gasps ensued, the energy transforming yet again. All eyes turned to Rose, who seemed to shrink under the weight of that word inheritance. Emma felt a chill run down her spine, a tense knot of confusion and disbelief formed within her. What hidden truth would emerge from this new layer of Rose's story? Changes were unfolding faster than she could comprehend. With such a world of emotions swirling around, Emma couldn't shake off the feeling that everything was about to shift once more. Would Rose be able to reconcile her past and present? Or was another storm brewing on the horizon? Emma couldn't help but wonder what new revelations awaited them all. The tension hung heavily in the air, making it feel as if the crowd could break into 1,000 tiny pieces at any moment. Emma watched as Rose's face paled at the mention of inheritance. It was as if the woman had been hit by a sudden wave, catching her off guard, dragging her beneath a sea of memories best left unexamined. "Excuse me? Inheritance?" Emma's voice came out sharper than she intended. The weight of that single word felt enormous, laden with questions. She glanced at Jacob, whose expression flickered between curiosity and concern. People were shifting, whispering, grappling with the new reality that had just dropped like a bombshell. Rose's son stepped closer to her, an instinctive protector adrift in this sea of unknowns. "Mom, it's okay. You've got this." His words were a balm, though tension still clung to the air. The woman with sunglasses glanced around, her gaze unyielding. "Your father didn't just leave you memories, Rose. He left you assets. Properties. Investments. All of it waiting for you." There was a finality in her tone, as if she were reading from a script. "And my father?" Rose stammered, disbelief coursing through her. "I thought the connection hung unanswered, a strand of a life she had tried to escape." The murmurs of the crowd grew louder, weaving through the tension. Emma saw disbelief morph into intrigue. People had come for a story of redemption, and now they were being offered a scandal far more sensational. "Shut up, Jacob," Emma snapped, recognizing the gleam of victory in his eyes. "This is not some gossip column you can feast upon." Rose remained silent, battling a storm of emotions. The sight of her fragility tugged at Emma's heart. "Rose, talk to us. What is this about?" I thought my past didn't matter anymore," she finally confessed, her voice cracking. "My father was gone. I was lost and I moved on. I thought that's what my mother wanted." A heart-wrenching tremor quivered through her words. "We want to help you," Emma said, feeling the weight of responsibility. The old wound of judgment from high school felt trivial compared to the raw vulnerability now on display. "You deserve to be free to embrace whatever truth comes next." The woman in sunglasses remained impassive. "Your father's estate is substantial, and it carries with it obligations." She paused, letting the words sink in. "There may be people who want a say in how that wealth is distributed." "Obligations?" Rose echoed, her brow furrowing. Emma noticed how the earlier glimmer of hope was starting to fade under this new pressure. What do you mean? It means that the past you want to escape could come back to haunt you. There are memories and connections, the woman replied, a hint of satisfaction creeping into her tone, as if she had been waiting for this moment to lay bare the full truth of Rose's situation. Emma could see Rose's shoulders slump, the fear evident as she stood before her past that was clawing its way back into her life. Hadn't she just begun to reclaim her strength? Rose, you don't have to take this on alone, Emma urged, her voice firm. You have the power to choose what this means for you. With trembling hands, Rose looked into the faces of those gathered, searching for acceptance, support, perhaps even a lifeline. Emma caught her eye, knowing that the next choice Rose made could either shatter her or rebuild the world she thought she had lost. Just then, a boy, maybe 8 years old, bound through the crowd, cutting through the heaviness like a knife. He stopped right in front of Rose, eyes shining with innocence. Are you my mom? He asked, voice hopeful and scared all at once. Every heart in the crowd seemingly paused, the weight of the world tumbling away in the face of childlike honesty. Emma held her breath, even as she felt the air thicken around Rose, who flickered between disbelief and dawning realization. What would Rose say? Would her past swallow her whole, or could this unexpected moment give her the chance to rewrite her story? Emma stood rooted, waiting for the answer. Rose's gaze flickered down to the boy, her expression shifting from confusion to something deeper: recognition. Hope. She took a shaky breath, her heart thundering in her chest. This little boy had stirred emotions she thought were buried under time and hurt. Mom? She repeated, her voice barely a whisper. Her knees felt weak as she leaned down, nearly collapsing before him. The sunlight caught the child's hair, making it glow like spun gold. He looked so innocent, so full of possibility. Tears sprang to Emma's eyes. She wanted to reach out, to comfort Rose, to tell her everything would be okay. But it felt like the weight of the crowd pressed down, an unspoken demand for answers. Do you know him? Jacob's voice cut through, laced with disbelief. Rose glanced around, feeling the weight of all those gazes resting on her as she focused back on the boy. I don't know how. With trembling fingers, Rose brushed her brow, trying to clear the fog of uncertainty. What is your name? Eli, he beamed, his wide smile illuminating the dimming tension around them. I've been waiting for you. I miss you. The warm light of his smile seemed to break something inside Rose. She could feel the pieces of her shattered past rushing forward, crashing together with the present moment. Her heart ached in ways she hadn't allowed herself to feel before. Miss me? She echoed, her own voice trembling as she fought against the tide of emotion threatening to pull her under. He nodded earnestly. The lady said if I wait, you'd come. I thought I was going to find you. Gasps erupted around them, the crowd watching the scene unfold, fascinated, confused, sympathetic. Emma stepped closer, sensing Rose's internal battle. This is a big deal, Rose. You need to consider what this means. You might have a chance to connect again, to be a part of his life. But Rose looked lost. How could I be his mother when I barely know him? Her voice broke, raw and laden with despair. Before Emma could respond, the woman in sunglasses interjected, a tone of finality in her voice. Eli is a product of your father's secret. You're listed as his legal guardian if you choose to accept it. The crowd stirred restlessly, their whispers echoing through the air. Emma clutched her arm tightly, realizing the magnitude of what Rose faced. Would she embrace this unexpected gift or flee from the blurred lines of her past? Rose's mind spun. I can't just step into this. I thought I was free. I wanted to leave all this behind. Her hands shook, the burden of reality crashing over her like cold water. Eli needs a mother, the woman continued, unyielding. And a family. Without you, he could be lost. Rose's heart pounded. In this little boy's eyes, she saw a reflection of her lost childhood, a chance to rewrite everything. But what if she failed him? Eli's hopeful gaze never wavered. You are my mom, right? A strange warmth seeped into Rose's chest, a flicker of something she thought long gone: hope. But uncertainty loomed large. Could she really reclaim that role? The choices she'd have to confront felt even more daunting now. Emma leaned in closer, whispering, "This could be your chance, Rose. But you have to decide. Will you fight for your son or let the past slip away again?" Rose was caught in the eye of the storm. Would she dive into the mess of her tangled past, or would fear dictate her future? The choice lay before her like an open road, brimming with potential, uncertainty, and the weight of a life she never expected to have. As confusion swirled around, Rose felt the stirrings of determination. This was her moment, a chance to gather the fragmented pieces of her life. With a deep breath and a spark of courage, she looked Eli in the eyes. I will find a way. I will be here for you." As the room took in her words, a shift began, the possibility of healing lingering in the air. But then it hit her. What would here look like? And what were those obligations that loomed ahead like shadows at dusk? Emma realized they had opened Pandora's box. What had they just unleashed? Rose's heart raced as she realized the enormity of her promise. "I will be here for you." Those words hung in the air like a fragile crystal, beautiful yet precarious. The crowd watched, silent now, as if collectively holding its breath. The woman in the sunglasses stepped forward again, her demeanor calm and clinical. "The paperwork is already drafted. We need your signature to move forward." "But I don't even know him," Rose protested, her words spilling out in a rush. She looked from Eli to Emma, seeking some kind of reassurance. "How can I be his mother when I barely remember how to take care of myself?" Eli took a step closer, his small hand reaching out instinctively toward hers. "You know more than you think," he said, his voice bright yet tinged with longing. "I've been waiting for you. We can learn together." A collective sigh rippled through the crowd, some faces softened in empathy while others watched with judgment. Even the air felt heavy with expectation, a reminder of how different her life could be from this moment onward. The strain of uncertainty pressed against Rose's chest. What if I let him down? The fear, raw and sharp, clawed at her insides. What if I don't know how to be the mom he needs? Emma stepped in, her eyes unwavering. "Rose, think of this as a chance to discover who you are in this role. You had a past you can't change, but you can create a future." Rose wrestled with that thought. The idea of tying her life to this little boy was daunting. What if she opened herself up only to fail him? Eli squeezed her hand tighter. "Please, Rose. You are my mom. I've been looking for you forever." His sincerity tugged at something long buried within her heart. She could almost feel the warmth of connection growing, pushing back her fears. It made her remember moments of childish laughter, fleeting joy, and dreams that felt distant but overreachable. But the weight of her decision had physical form. The reality settled like an anchor in her gut. It stirred up a longing for the family she had lost. What if I can't give you a home, Eli? What if I crumble under the pressure? The room fell into a silence so deep Rose could hear her own heartbeat. Eli looked up, his eyes filled with trust that pierced through her doubts. "You won't crumble. You'll rise, just like I did waiting for you." Those words ignited a flicker of hope inside her, the kind that whispered possibilities rather than fears. "What if we try?" she murmured. "What if I take a step toward you?" Eli nodded excitedly, his smile radiating in the suffocating tensions. "Yes. And I'll help you. We can build a new life together." Rose's heart softened. She took a few deep breaths and pulled him into an embrace. The warmth of his small body against hers melted the ice surrounding her heart. "Okay, Eli. Let us try, together." The moment felt monumental, as though the universe had shifted just slightly. Hope poured into her veins, promising brightness in the shadows. The woman with the sunglasses stepped back, capturing the moment with a subtle nod. "I'll have the papers prepared." As Eli snuggled closer, Rose felt a surge of something unimaginable, a blend of excitement and fear, tinged with the unknown. She was about to unfold an entirely new chapter, one that could redeem the parts of her past and unleash unexpected challenges ahead, and then came the beckoning question: what other secrets lurked in the shadows, waiting to be unveiled? What if her father's hidden legacy changed everything? The crowd held its breath, waiting for Rose to take the next crucial step. But everything she had known was about to be turned upside down. The real challenge was just beginning. What would be revealed next? Rose felt the weight of the moment shifting. The air felt charged, like an electric current making its way through the room. She glanced around, trying to catch the eye of anyone who might help her ground herself. Emma stood to the side, a soft smile on her face, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. That was enough to keep Rose from spiraling into doubt. Eli tugged gently on her sleeve, breaking her thoughts. Can we find a park after? I want to swing. His simple request caused a smile to break across her face. The innocence in his voice was a reminder of the joy she'd almost forgotten. Okay, we can do that, she replied, though uncertainty still buzzed in the back of her mind. As the woman in sunglasses moved to finalize the paperwork, Rose felt her stomach knotting again as if it was preparing to let go of everything she thought she knew. Just a moment, Rose called out, her voice steadying. The woman turned, a hint of surprise flickering across her featureless face. Can you tell me more about Eli's situation? What does this really mean? Of course, the woman said, adjusting her sunglasses with a sharp movement, her professionalism returning. Eli has been in foster care since. She paused, the words seeming to hang like a weight. His circumstances have been difficult, but he is a resilient child. With your support, we believe he can thrive. Rose's chest tightened at that, and she could feel Eli looking up at her, waiting. I want to be there for him, she said, her voice growing more certain. I just need to understand everything. As the woman launched into details about visitation agreements, the responsibilities of guardianship, and the psychological assessments, Rose found herself lost in what felt like a frantic swirl of jargon. Yet, amidst the confusion, one thought surfaced: this was more than just a legal agreement, it was a chance for redemption, for both of them. I'm all in. The declaration slipped out before she could think twice, surprising even herself. Whatever it takes, I'll do it. The other voices along with her own seemed to fade, and she focused on Eli's beaming face. In that moment, the world outside the room disappeared, leaving her with the realization that she had a purpose now. The papers will be ready shortly, the woman said, her professionalism unyielding. But remember, this is a commitment. It's not just about signing, it's about becoming Eli's mom in every sense. A small flicker of doubt ran through Rose. Did she truly understand the implications behind those words? But when Eli's hand squeezed hers, that flicker was snuffed out. Wasn't that the essence of being a mother? To lean into uncertainty with love. As she and Eli waited for the stack of papers to be placed in front of her, they sat on the bench together. He leaned his small head on her shoulder. I'm glad you're here now, Rose, he whispered, his tiny voice laced with trust. In that moment, she felt like she was finally becoming the piece of herself she had lost along the way, but before she could bask in that newfound warmth, her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, startled to see a message from an unknown number. As she read the words, her heart plummeted. It didn't just feel like another challenge, it felt like a premonition of everything that could unravel. We need to talk about your father's legacy, the message read, leaving chills crawling down her spine. Eli looked up at her, sensing her shift in mood. What's wrong? With the weight of her father's hidden past crashing down on her, Rose felt like she stood on a precipice, the unknown looming before her. There was excitement in the air, but also the weight of secrets waiting to be uncovered. I'm not sure, she replied, her heart racing again. What truth would she uncover, and how would it affect everything she was trying to build? The crowd around them began to feel distant, but she knew the answer was coming, and so was the challenge that would test their new bond. One thing was clear, her life was about to change in ways she could never imagine. The silence in the room was palpable, broken only by the distant murmur of busy voices muffled by the walls. Rose's heart raced as she reread the text. The implications hung over her like storm clouds ready to unleash their rain. Eli's small hand in hers reminded her of what she had just committed to, yet the dread of the message stirred anxiety within her. What's a legacy? Eli asked, his innocent curiosity pulling her back from the edge. She glanced down at him, his eyes wide with confusion and concern. How could she explain this tangled mess to a child who just wanted to play in the park? A legacy is, something someone leaves behind when they're gone. Like, memories or, even businesses, she stammered, not quite ready to dive into the complexities of her father's life. It can be good or bad, you know? Eli nodded, his face still scrunched up in thought. Is it bad for us? Rose swallowed hard. I don't know yet, buddy. But whatever it is, we'll face it together, okay? Eli's small smile eased her worries just a fraction. He always seemed to defy the heaviness of the world with his innocence. Just then, the woman in sunglasses returned, papers in hand. Here you go, she said, her voice steady and professional. Take your time to look over everything. As she flipped through the pages, Rose tried to focus, but the words blurred in and out of meaning. She felt like she was being pulled in two directions. On one side, there was Eli, his little existence waiting for her to become the foundation he needed. On the other, there was the haunting question of her father's legacy which could shatter everything they were trying to build. The silence grew heavier as she signed the documents, each stroke of her pen weighing down more responsibility. Would this legacy overshadow her new bond with Eli? What other revelations were lurking just below the surface? With the last signature, she looked up at the woman. What happens next? What do I need to do? You'll have a caseworker assigned to help you navigate this transition. Regular check-ins and support will follow. It's a process, but I believe you'll be great at it, the woman replied. Thank you. It felt flat leaving her lips, not quite capturing the mixture of fear and hope bubbling inside her. Eli, sensing the tension, squeezed her hand again. Can we go to the park now? She chuckled despite the gravity weighing on her heart. Yeah, let us do that. They stood up, and Rose felt a spark of something, a flicker of hope amidst the unknown, only to dim as her phone buzzed again. Before she could react, Eli had tugged her arm. Can we run? Okay. Rose replied, the thrill of his enthusiasm breaking a bit of the tension inside her. As they rushed out, she felt lighter, almost forgetting about the ominous message awaiting her reply. The joys of the park beckoned her a sea of green, swings swaying in the breeze, laughter echoing all around. It felt like they could breathe again, but just as she began to shake off her worries, her phone buzzed again. This time it was more urgent, demanding her attention. Eli, I'll be right back, she said, stepping aside to read the new message. Make it quick. He shouted, already eyeing the swings with excitement. Her gaze darted over the words on the screen. We know about your father's dealings. If you want to protect what you've just committed to, meet us tonight. Rose's heart pounded in her chest. What had she gotten herself into? As she turned to look at Eli, who now dominated the swings, the weight of her father's legacy pressed down again. Could she defend this new life she was carving out for herself and Eli while handling the demons of her past? Outside of this moment, beyond the laughter, Rose felt the world tilt on its axis once more. A choice loomed ahead of her, and its repercussions felt as wild and chaotic as the playground she stood in, but could she truly keep both a bright future and a dark legacy from colliding? The air crackled with tension as she realized it was not just her heart but Eli's as well that was at stake. The sun dipped low in the sky as Rose took a deep breath, stifling the mix of fear and exhilaration swirling in her chest. She glanced at Eli, swinging higher and higher, his laughter clear and bright against the fading daylight. It was hard to believe how, in the blink of an eye, her life had transformed. Just a few weeks ago, she was a single mother juggling work and the struggle to make ends meet. Now, she was faced with a legacy that threatened to turn everything upside down. Eli. She called, her voice a mixture of playfulness and urgency. Time to hop off the swings, buddy. He balked at her request, eyes wide, as if she had suggested they fly to the moon. Just a little longer. I can go super high. The innocence in his plea melted some of her tension, drawing a smile to her lips. Okay, but just one more minute. Then ice cream? That did it. He beamed, swinging even harder as delight sparkled across his face. Rose felt that glimmer of joy, but it flickered against the darker thoughts looming in her mind. If she didn't figure out what to do, tonight's meeting could change everything for them. Her phone buzzed again, breaking through her swirling thoughts, and as she reluctantly pulled it out, her breath caught. The woman in sunglasses, Diane, she remembered, had sent another message. Think carefully about your decision. The past has a way of catching up. What did that mean? Did they know something she didn't? She put the phone away, glancing around. The park was a vibrant tapestry of families enjoying their evening together, laughter rippling in the air. Eli, let us head to the ice cream stand, she said, trying to push the shadows of doubt away. Yay! Eli's joy was infectious. She loved how his uncomplicated worldview could brighten her darkest days. As they walked toward the stand, Rose's mind raced through possible scenarios. If she went to the meeting tonight, would it open a Pandora's box? What hidden truths lay waiting? She wanted to protect Eli, but she also needed to know. Part of her yearned for closure on her father's life, even if it meant stirring up the past. They reached the ice cream stand, and as Eli scooped up a cone bursting with rainbow sprinkles, Rose found herself glancing back at the playground, half expecting someone to appear, someone she didn't know but felt was attached to her legacy. Maybe it was paranoia, or maybe it was her intuition trying to warn her. Mommy, look! Eli exclaimed, drawing her attention back to him. Ice cream dribbled down his chin, leaving a trail of sweet chaos. Hold on, let us fix this. She fished in her pocket for a napkin, laughing at his enthusiasm despite everything swirling in her head. Each giggle from Eli chipped away at her worries, reminding her why she was fighting so hard. This was about him, about their life together. Just when they were about to walk back home, Rose saw movement at the edge of the park. A tall figure, a woman with long, dark hair, seemed to be waiting. There was something eerily familiar about her silhouette, something that set her heart racing again. Mommy? Eli asked, looking confused as he sensed her sudden tension. Let us go, sweetie, she urged, her voice steadied with purpose. As they started to walk away, the woman's gaze fixed on Rose. It felt as if the air had thickened. When she took a step forward, time seemed to halt. Rose's heartbeat quickened, anticipation intermingled with dread. Do you know her? Eli asked, following her eyes, innocence etched across his face. Not yet, but we might, she whispered back, glancing once more toward the stranger as they moved further away. Who was this woman? What was happening around them? Rose felt the pulse of her father's legacy pounding in her veins. Tonight would offer more than answers, it could shake the very foundation they were building together. But deep down, she wasn't sure if she was ready for the revelations that awaited them, or for whatever else might emerge from the shadows of her father's past. Would she have the strength to shield Eli from the storm brewing? As they turned a corner, the stranger's figure lingered in her thoughts. What would she reveal when the night fell? The night unfolded like a heavy curtain, concealing secrets wrapped in shadows. Rose's chest tightened as she pulled Eli closer to her, his little hands snug in hers. As they left the park behind, her mind churned, full of questions. The mysterious woman loomed large in her thoughts. Who was she? Was she connected to her father? The very thought sent a chill down Rose's spine. The tranquility of the evening was pierced by the sound of children's laughter, a stark contrast to the turmoil boiling inside her. Focus. She needed to center herself for Eli's sake. Are you ready for some ice cream? She asked, trying to lighten the mood, forcing a smile. Eli grinned back, his face smeared with chocolate and sprinkles, the blissful essence of innocence. Just the sight of him brought warmth, filling her heart with a fierce resolve. Mint chocolate chip! He exclaimed, bouncing on his toes. The best choice, she agreed, even as her heart sank at the thought of what lay ahead. Together, they walked into the small ice cream parlor, a warm, inviting space filled with the rich scent of freshly made waffle cones. The little bell jingled as they entered, momentarily distracting Rose from her worries. As Eli eagerly leaned over the counter, Rose took a deep breath. She needed to focus. Her phone buzzed again, and she felt a pulse of anxiety, glancing down to see a message from Diane. Don't keep us waiting. You need to own your narrative. The urgency in those words seemed haunting. Did they know what they were doing to her, pushing her to confront the man she wished to forget, and yet could this be her chance? For closure? For freedom? After getting their cones, they found a quiet corner in the shop to sit. Watching Eli devour his ice cream, Rose felt a flicker of hope. Their little world was fragile but filled with possibilities. Eli's laughter echoed around her, melting her apprehension. "Mommy, look. It's dripping," he cried, pulling her back into the moment. "Yes, here, let me help you." She quickly reached over, grabbing a napkin. Just as they were settling in, the shop door swung open behind her, and she instinctively turned. The woman registered like an electric shock. There she was, the long-haired stranger. The woman's eyes locked with Rose's across the room. A rush of emotions swept through her, fear, curiosity, and determination. Without thinking, Rose stood up, lifting Eli instinctively as if to shield him. "Stay here, sweetheart," she whispered, keeping her eyes trained on the newcomer. The woman slowly approached, a blend of resolve and awareness in her stride. Rose took a breath as she felt Eli cling to her side, trusting, unseeing of the tempest brewing around them. "Rose," the woman said, her voice steady but tinged with an emotion Rose couldn't quite place. "I've been looking for you." "Why? What do you want?" The words escaped her before she had time to filter them, rising like a tide of protective energy. Eli clung tighter, sensing the tension in the air. "I'm here about your father." The revelation hung between them, dense and heavy, igniting 1,000 flames of memories and regrets. Rose clenched her jaw, memories whirling in an unwanted dance. "He left things unsaid, things you need to know." "I have no interest in your past is catching up to you, Rose," the woman interjected, urgency bleeding through her composed exterior. "Whether you like it or not, it affects your future. This boy deserves answers." "Enough!" Rose cried, her voice breaking through the reverberating noise around them. She looked down at Eli, who watched with wide eyes filled with innocent confusion. "You don't understand. This is not just about me. I have a son now. I want to put him through your drama." The woman's expression softened, emotion flaring briefly before she regained control. "You're right, it isn't only about you. But Eli deserves to know who he is. You need to understand what you're stepping into if you're serious about being his mother." There was a beat of silence. Eli looked back and forth between them, his small brow furrowed in concern. "Are you okay, Mommy?" The concern washed over Rose like a tidal wave, and she knelt, cradling Eli's face in her hands. "I'm okay, buddy. Just a little complicated, that's all." "Complicated?" he echoed, more curious than frightened. "Yeah, sweetie," she managed to say, her voice regaining some steadiness. "But remember what we talked about? No matter what, I'll always be here for you." Eli nodded, a gentle reassurance in his eyes, but it was a moment of clarity for Rose. They were entwined in this journey together. She wouldn't allow fear to drive them apart. They deserved to face whatever came next side by side. "Whoever you are," Rose turned back to the woman, voice strong, "if you have something to say, let us say it. But know this, I am protecting what I hold dear, my son." The woman held her gaze, respect evident as she nodded slowly. "Then let us talk. Your father's legacy isn't just about riches, it's about the connections left behind, a family lost among the chaos. If you want to give Eli a future, you need to know where you came from. Then let us do this." Each word felt like an act of defiance against the chains of her past, locking away insecurities and fears. Leaving a path for hope to forge ahead instead. As they stepped out into the night, Eli's hand warm in hers, Rose felt the winds of change rising around them, charged with possibilities. Surrounded by stars shining against the vast dark, she breathed in deeply, ready to face her father's legacy. Together, but still, a whisper of caution lingered. What truly lay ahead? Would it elevate their lives or threaten to unravel them? Rose locked her eyes on the horizon, determined to confront what was coming. She would not break, they would not bend, and with that, she silently vowed they would rise not just for her past, but for Eli's bright future, their story leaving an indelible mark on the lives they touched. This was the beginning of a new chapter, and whatever came next, she would stand tall and face it fiercely, no matter the cost. It was here, on the edge of an uncertain future, that Rose finally felt ready to embrace her truth and to take ownership of her story, and so, the night echoed with the promise of new beginnings and brighter horizons, leaving an indelible impression of hope lingering in the air, a whisper that would guide them forward, whatever it took. Don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, your support means everything. Comment below your reactions, your feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support for the journeys we're bringing to life.